Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. And here in, let's see, what is Bowling Green? The third largest city maybe in Kentucky. Got Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you, I've got a sister that lives here, actually.
Yeah, I think you did mention that.
I love Bowling Green. What is it? Let's see, home of West Kentucky University. Yes. And Rand Paul, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. That's correct. We got Rand Paul here.
So I'm here with, well, I guess, Joseph, we've known each other quite a while, maybe 3 years or so.
Yep, I'd
4
say at least.
Yeah.
I think so.
It goes back a little bit, but we finally got a chance to get on the microphone. So I'll tell you what, you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about who you are, what you do.
So I'm Joseph Yoder, and we sell for Sturdi Built. Sturdi Built is, and if you look us up on Facebook, we're Yoder's Sturdi Built Sheds. That's what we got our Facebook name. And this is Martha, of course, my wife. And so it's just me and my wife here. That's what we got this location here in Bowling Green. And this is what we do.
You've been selling sheds for a little while?
Yeah, let me see. Oh, I want to say 4 years now.
That we've been doing it together, yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. I'd worked for the company before I started selling sheds. I did the sales rep work and like all the warranty type work and stuff. And then so yeah, and of course I built in Alabama. I used to build sheds very similar to this. So
okay.
Cotton State actually down there. Well, it's actually sort of a branch off of Dirksen. Anyway, so I've been in the shed business for quite a few years.
Been at it for quite a while.
Yeah.
Even yeah. So now, are you from Kentucky originally, or?
No, I'm originally from Tennessee.
Okay.
Ended up in Alabama for a while, then we ended up here. So
okay,
moved around too much, but.
So then you got started. Grew up in Tennessee, but got started building sheds, hauling sheds.
Well, I actually hauled for just a little while for my father-in-law in Alabama, but didn't do that very long.
Okay.
So mostly just building. And then from that to just moved up here and got into the sales rep stuff. And,
I got you.
But yeah, it was my earlier experience in it was all building sheds.
So you've probably seen quite a few changes, I'm guessing, from the times that you started.
Definitely, yeah. And you know what I'm always amazed is that the sheds haven't just drastically changed. Like there's still the basic market for the sheds, there's still a basic shed that there's a bigger market for than any other shed. Basically, like your basic shed still sells best. That's your best seller.
Yeah, I think 10 by 16 is still as common as what you can find for traditional storage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys moved up here, and then let's see, came to Kentucky, came to Bowling Green, got started in rep work, and then you sell for Sturdi Built.
Yes, correct.
Is the name of the company. Joe, I think, is
Joe Gingrich. This is one of the owners. Leon, well, it was Leon Borntrager. He drowned here. What was it?
I'm thinking it was January.
I think it was back in January.
I think I remember that. I was talking with Irvin, and he was talking about going over to the funeral, and I really wanted to try to put something together there for, we've been talking about trying to put like a Shed Geek care sort of package together, because you do see like problems like that come up in the shed industry, and that's sort of our industry, right? Like we're so acclimated and familiar with it that if there's a way that we could help relieve the burden, whether it be financially or something along those lines. So we've talked about trying to create a nonprofit, and moving forward, we'll see what happens there. But I remember when that happened.
Yeah. So it was Leon, and then of course Norman, his brother. So there was 3 owners, which now it's down to 2. Joe Gingrich is the main. He runs it basically. Yeah. Norman farms, and so he's not in it just a lot of it, but he's still involved, but he's not as involved as Joe.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Joe is a good dude from
he is,
all the moments I've been around him but seems like a really likable guy, really
Very
likable
much.
guy to work for and work with. So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about Sturdi Built. What's the process been like for 4 years, man? Like here in Bowling Green, has it been a good experience?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I know in 2019, of course, things got so knocked out of proportion that we didn't really know what was happening anymore. But now we're back to the grind. I mean, back to the normal, I think.
Yeah.
And as normal as it's going to be, I think. And
Let's call it the old normal, because
Yes,
they were trying to call everything the new normal. So I want to call it the old normal.
yeah, and it's it's had its ups and downs, but it's been a very pleasant experience. I love this. I love this town here. The last I checked, it was still among the top 10 in the country of the fastest growing cities in the country, among the top 10. So Bowling Green is a very resilient town, and there's just so much. There's so much going on. You have just about every nationality here, every people group. It's sort of that can have its own problems too, but it is. I'm amazed at.
It's probably been good for business.
It is good for business. I think that's see basically what I'm amazed at with Bowling Green is it usually goes down slower. Like if there's a drought or if there's a but it comes up quicker.
I got you.
And so it's just more resilient.
Yeah. Well, it's always pleasant to come down here. Like I said, I had a sister that come down here and ended up eventually living here, her and her husband full time. And we've come down here and went to church with them and different things. But, probably what most people would know it for is the infamous Corvette Museum.
Yes. Yeah.
All the Corvettes are made that are made by, is it GM, I guess, makes Corvette technically, or are made here in Bowling Green. So all the Corvettes come out of here.
Yeah.
But then also they have the Corvette Museum here that you can come and visit. And then you've got quite a bit around here, like Mammoth Cave and like the down in Glasgow and different things like that. You've got like the tunnels.
Not far. Yeah, it's not far from here. You got
all that stuff. Yeah. So it's just a cool area.
Have you ever had a customer ask you about how to supply power to their shed? Do you sell electrical kits as an upsell for your sheds currently? Do you want an easy, no-hassle option to offer for your customers when they want to add electric to their sheds? Check out EcoEthics Solar. EcoEthics Solar is looking for shed manufacturers and shed dealers who want to be able to provide a solar electric option to their line of sheds. With EcoEthics Solar, you can purchase the SunSaver, a solar product specifically designed with the shed owner in mind. Want to offer a larger product that can operate a full tiny home? At EcoEthics Solar, they have the necessary product, training, and capacity to meet your customers' needs. Installation for the SunSaver is simple and takes just 45 minutes. You can even install it right there on your sales lot or at the manufacturing facility. EcoEthics Solar even provides hands-on in-person training if necessary. Plus, they will provide you with video tutorials and handouts with specific installation instructions that keeps adding a solar-powered electrical system to your shed fast and simple. In many cases, the end user can even perform the installation once the shed is delivered to their home. If you are interested in purchasing a unit for display and then drop shipping your orders or even ordering multiple units to have available as you build, contact my friends at EcoEthics Solar at 336-250-1284 or email sales@ecoethicsolar.com.
But yeah, your experience so far with selling sheds, I mean, traditional storage, you feel like that's still kind of what people are looking for when they come in? Do you think we're moving toward like tiny homes and all that stuff more often?
I feel like there is probably, but see, back in 2009, there was a big shift that way. Well, but the problem is there was nobody really finishing them out. So he basically bought a shell, and then people tried to finish them out, and they didn't really know what to get into. A lot of those ended up coming back because they were rent-own. The one thing that we're doing now that has helped us tremendously in that when it's those sheds, we will do the insulation, the lining, and electrical. And so that building is at a point where they can go in, put some walls up, and basically make do.
You feel like that's like quite a few of the customers that come through? We have been
selling quite a few of those, yes.
Yeah.
And we still sell it as a storage building, but obviously they're going to do something else with it, which is
I just wonder a lot of times if that's people looking for more like just looking for affordable housing more than anything.
I believe it is, because honestly, that is a problem we're facing in this country pretty much everywhere, I think, but especially here in Bowling Green. Rent is out the roof. I mean, it's you can't hardly rent anything under $2,000 a month here.
Yeah.
And it's gotten pretty bad.
Yeah, I think they're just looking for alternatives and stuff like that. Martha, you feel like that's like a lot of the people who come in, like do you feel like you get like questions for storage or questions for something livable?
I would say it's mostly storage, but you do have the people that are into the tiny home movement or whatever.
Yeah. Does it matter to you guys as far as the approach, as long as you can serve the customer? I mean, I'm like, do you prefer one over the other, like storage customers, or do you find it like demanding or difficult with like the guys who want like tiny homes and finished out and all that?
I honestly would almost prefer it is more difficult, yes, but I like the challenge. And so storage building customer is going to be very basic. It's, simple. And those are nice. You have your, and I still love that. But there is something about, looking at a floor plan they come in with. And we actually put petitions up on the inside as well if they want it, And there's something that brings I used to build houses, so I
was going to ask you that. I almost wonder, like with your past, not just your home building, but then your time building sheds.
So basically in my 20s, that's all I did was build houses and worked under I was a subcontractor.
Okay.
Anyhow, so just building the basic shed got really boring after a while. Like there's just no stimulation hardly. So and selling, I find it the same way. You're just selling the same thing. And so when some people start coming in and gives me the opportunity to design it a little bit and help them out with that, I love that. That's my
No,
that's my pick.
Well, the customer acquisition time's a little bit longer. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to. Because you're going to have to take the time to really sit down with them to figure out what they want. Mm-hmm. Now, do you guys, maybe I'm asking too much. If I am here, just shut me down. But do you use like 3D modelers to do all of that? Do you guys?
We have a configurator, 3D configurator on our website that Sturdi Built doesn't, but we went ahead and got one for us. And so we do use that, but it's very limited. I don't have so basically most.
You get into those
special
bigger
stuff,
projects,
so mostly what I do is I just sit down and I just draw it up, and it would be nice to have but it was more expensive than we wanted to put in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you think about like all the details of what could go into, like a tiny home, or somebody who just wants some like marginally finished out like options, just some basic options, like you said, a wall or things like that. It still takes a lot of design in the software to be able to do that. So that's it's definitely interesting. Mm-hmm. What's been sort of like your customer philosophy for you guys selling sheds over the time? Have you sold for Sturdi Built for the most time that you've been selling, or
actually for the whole time that we've been selling? That's just the only company I've actually sold. Well, we had some from another rent-owned company that we had some buildings here.
Gotcha.
That basically we sell decks also.
Okay,
So we had a rent-owned company that was doing the rent financing on the decks.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is they would start bringing some of their repos and they were built by different companies and stuff. So, but other than that, no, Sturdi Built's been the only, for buildings, that's been the only company.
Has that been just like a good experience? What's your philosophy been in trying to sell like those?
Honestly, there's been a couple of times, where I would get really frustrated, because I'll say this about Sturdi Built, they're more held back. They're not as quick. To get something to change, sometimes to make changes happen, I would get really frustrated because I just couldn't get them motivated enough to get things. And they'd be like, well, we'll look into it, but the owners are farmers. And since Joe has come on, that has helped out a lot with that. But back before Joe they really needed somebody like that to make decisions that need to be made. So I would get frustrated sometimes, and I'd be like, man, but then when I would look at other companies and stuff, and I started realizing that at the end of the day, I've never worked with anybody that was more pleasant to work with than Sturdi Built. And that's what always brings me back to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'd imagine, when you're in charge of a business, it always takes some time.
It does
to think through things. You always want to make sure you're making the right decisions and stuff like that. So I think it sounds like you got the right guy for the job. So
I think so. He's really good. He's very. I know he's a young guy, but I wish I'd had my head on right. Like he has at his age.
Yeah,
I marvel at somebody in his 20s having business sense that he does. And of course he grew up. Yes, I think he has a background in that where I didn't have that, but it comes down to it really comes down to him deciding to be what he wanted to be.
Yeah,
and going for it.
Yep.
And that's
The shed industry is comprised of a diverse group of companies, but also a diverse group of shed sellers. Proven sales processes are the backbone of successful businesses, and their effectiveness cannot be overstated. At Shed U, our processes provide a structured framework that guides the shed sales professional through the various stages of the sales cycle, ensuring consistency and efficiency. By following a proven process, shed salespeople can better understand their customers' needs, build trust, and tailor their approach accordingly. Additionally, these processes are developed based on years of experience and extensive market research, incorporating best practices and strategies that have yielded positive results. Your Sheducation from Shed University will not only minimize guesswork, but also maximize the chances of closing deals and achieving sales targets. Our proven shed sales process will empower you or your shed sales team to work smarter, not harder, and lead to increased productivity, customer satisfaction, and business growth. It's time to take the guesswork out of your shed sales process. Invest in yourself and your team when you attend class at Shed University. Don't be tardy. Book your ticket now at sheduniversity.com for this year's session on January 23rd and 24th at the Knoxville Convention Center, just before the GSCB show. At Shed University, class is now in session.
So what do you expect? We kind of talked about the new normal, but the old normal is that we're starting to see that, inventory is not just flying off the shelf. That seems to be a common theme pretty much across the country, or anybody that we talk to. I'd imagine you guys, like most companies, sold out of inventory during COVID. It was hard to keep labor and buildings in stock. And the next thing you know, we're sort of in this slowdown. Retail seems to be slowing down. Inflation's increasing. Are you guys seeing the same thing? Are you taking any precautions to try to combat that?
We're pretty much just doing what we've been doing. It's sort of, we're sort of watching the market though. It is, our inventory has changed a little bit. We are more focusing on, because there is definitely an uptick in the cabins and stuff like that, which is, so where we would normally just had mainly just storage buildings, we now got some cabins and stuff like that around here. Now we haven't got any of them on the lot that's finished out and stuff, but I'm actually wanting to, this winter, I think what I want to do is get them to bring a couple down that I can actually finish out myself and do the rooms and everything, and because I figure it's going to be slow this winter, it always is. So,
yeah, for sure. Do you guys take the time to prepare in winter? Is that do you guys build up inventory about everybody else?
Yeah.
Are you guys, you talked about decks and things like that. That might be something that's unfamiliar for a lot of shed dealers or shed companies out there. Has that been a successful adventure?
It is, if somebody would have the time, it is a little bit more. There's a little bit more goes into decks because you gotta get out there and look at the spot and stuff. It's really hard for a customer to tell you what the guy's really going to need for a portable deck, and so that is Amos Esch is the one, and that's the only one I know around that's doing it. But it sort of affected our sales since I got a little bit more busy with other stuff, didn't have time to go out and do quotes and stuff, and that really affects it. If
a little more demanding, but all those are transportable. What's the biggest ones that like?
Basically, like he goes all the way up to like 16 by 48, something like So he goes up to basically the same as the buildings,
And then you guys, as a dealer, you offer other products. Do you do chicken coops?
Yeah, we have a line of chicken coops that. Yeah, we don't have our own builders. We just buy them and resell them. And then, of course, we have the same guy that does our decks. He also built these gazebos.
Okay.
And so then we got the deer blinds. And
that has really taken off over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So what I've learned in doing all this with dealing with different people and stuff, I started realizing what a blessing we have with the company we're selling for, with Sturdi Built. Yes. It's learning how to work together and stuff can be
just navigating through all that. I can't tell you how many dealers I know that's like switched, to different products, or sometimes only to find that the similarities or the frustrations or things like that might still be the same. The grass is not always greener on the other side, as they say.
It just isn't.
Yeah. Sometimes tried and true and proven is just really the way to go. Yeah. But you guys definitely see the value in bringing different products in. Not that sheds is not the bread and butter. Now, have you guys jumped into post frame or carports or all of that?
Yeah, we do carports.
Okay.
And now post frame, you're talking about
like pole barns.
No, we don't have. At this point, we have some good friends that do them, and we always try to get the customer to the right. If I can't provide it, I always try to find somebody that'll do it. Still, but
man, that's good. Just good sales philosophy, isn't it? So. Like just when the customer sees you as a source of help, that's huge. And that's the thing. That's what you want to be if you're in sales.
Trying to get that customer what they're looking for.
What's been some of the most rewarding things for you, Martha? I would ask you the same. I'm just curious. Over 4 years of selling, what do you guys? Do you have a memorable experience or a particular customer that you can think back on that's really made it worth doing this?
I think for me, it may be a little bit lengthy answer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go for it.
What for me, it's been. I tell you what. When we first started selling, I used to say, if that customer comes and they're going to buy a shed, I'm going to be the one to sell them that shed. And I was so stuck on that, and it was like I got so during 2019. I almost lost it. Like I mean, I went through something that was. Yeah, I didn't understand. But I was losing my mind almost, and I actually started seeing a therapist. And one of the things that I started talking to him a little bit about some of the stuff that I was dealing with, and so it was just a lot of problem customers, And anyway, so one thing he said, he asked me basically what I was allowing people to do is come in here and chew us down stuff, and so. You allow a customer to chew you down, they become your biggest problem customer.
Yeah.
And so it took me, so he brought that out. He said, so they are turning out to be your biggest problem customer. I'm like, they are. And so he's like, how about you reward the customers that come in and are pleasant to deal with, like throw something free in, but just don't allow yourself to be chewed down. And I'm like, no, that's I'm gonna lose this. But he's like, no, I promise you, try it for a couple months, and you tell me how that's working out. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for it, And what we started realizing after a while, we're like, customers just so pleasant to deal with, and so we're like, you know what, You could use a RAM or something, you know, but throw a free RAM in. And I tell them, I just really appreciate you were just so pleasant to deal with. It was just a pleasure to do business with you. And the thing about that was our referral started going up. Now initially we started losing some customers. People would get angry almost like, because I just wouldn't chew. And they're like, well, you used to chew, you know, now you don't.
Oh yeah. You stood firm on your price.
It was hard, but
yeah,
we started realizing at the end of the month, we don't hardly have any problem customers.
Yeah.
And we have this. So now we're getting more referred customers than we were ever getting before.
And the decreased stress, along
stress,
with it.
Yes.
I mean, like you look better than the last time I saw you. Like you're thinner. You were talking about going to the gym, fasting, like all these different things. So whatever it is that you went through,
and it's completely changed the way I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's obvious to me, like in that too, and it becomes obvious, in your life over time. Martha, absolutely. Have you seen like the same change? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I'd imagine like that's like makes your day better because you guys work together, and I love it because the energy of you guys just together is like. I've never used the word cute on the podcast, so like maybe we'll go for that.
I don't know.
Like I can just tell that you guys just have like this really close bond, husband and wife bond, and like y'all would probably be a blast to just hang around all the time. But
honestly, if it wouldn't have been for her, I would have lost it. I really would have. She's the one that was this. Yeah, I might end up getting a little emotional here, but
that's
she's
all right.
The one that right
there in your corner.
She was actually the one that got me. She's like, you gotta get help.
Yeah, man, you got. Hey, what do they say? You got a good one. Like I've heard people say that before. Yeah. So it sounds like you got a good one.
Hey guys, this is the Shed Geek, and I'm here to tell you about the latest in financial innovation to hit the shed industry. It's a program called Backyard Finance. Everywhere I go, shed manufacturers and shed sellers are always asking, how can I get a better payment option for my customer? At Backyard Finance, they're making this a reality. You might be asking, how do I sign up? Simple, just go to Backyard Finance, click on the Get Started Now button, and create an account. After that, you'll have 200 plus banks competing to give your customer the best financial terms possible. With Backyard Finance, you can service your customers two ways, direct to customer lending or direct to merchant lending. With direct to merchant lending, simply fill out an application. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks to process that application, but it'll allow you a variety of financing options to make you a more competitive retailer. With FICO scores as low as 500, 600, or 700 plus, your customers will receive financing options with APRs as low as 2.99% or as high as 29.99%. Credit applications are approved in just 15 to 45 seconds. To know more, contact Backyard Finance at 833-692-2286 or email info@backyardfinance.com today. Backyard Finance, funding backyard dreams.
Yeah. What I think, where this is going, and it's something that's definitely worth talking about because I've been talking about wanting to have a conversation on that for a long time. So I don't think a lot of times people realize like the potential burnout that exists for a salesperson because it's all emotional. It a lot of times
that way, yes.
Like whenever things are up, you're like, oh, things are going great. And we can do this and we can do that and all this thing. And then, oh no, the sky's falling when all of a sudden the customers aren't there. And so like this emotional roller coaster takes on. One of my favorite podcasts I listened to had a guest on there one time, and he was talking about how like you have good stress and you have bad stress. And he was like, good stress is like whenever something comes up that is, should naturally stress you out. Say a car pulls in front of you, you slam your brakes, you get this like dopamine rush that comes over your body, this adrenaline and all these different things. And then your body washes all of that naturally. And you start to kind of have like this almost sleepy feeling right after a big, high, intense moment like that. And then you almost have to like lay down or rest or something because your body's going through natural stress. And what he was saying was in the sales world, and especially what we saw through COVID and even now, is like because you're always month to month trying to make sure you make it. You got you got lot rent. You got, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like bills,
yes.
you got your own bills, you got, and what's happening is like you have the opportunity to work inside of that stress. And he was talking about burnout, and he said there's a different level of like burnout than just people saying I'm stressed, I'm burnt out. And what he was talking about was what happens is in sales, it's like a death by 1,000 cuts. Instead of one moment where a car pulls in front of you and you have this really stressful moment, you have all these little tiny stressful moments throughout the day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're tired and you don't know why.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're battling. You're like, what's going to make the next sale? What's going to create what's my next opportunity? Oh no, it seems like we didn't have many customers on the lot. So next thing you know, stress starts to rise, and it's easy to, now a customer comes in, you feel desperate, right, to give them a deal, and they're working on you, trying to get the price down, and you're like, you know what? Wait a minute, we see the value in our product. We're going to stand firm on what the value of the product is here, and not we don't have any reason to discount it. That's what it's worth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That is the thing that it come down to. So I'm given a cut of my commission and buying myself stress.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
I mean,
what a statement.
I don't know what else to call it. That's
right. Buying your stress. Yeah. Man, that's huge.
And man, when he first told me that, I was just like, dude, I'm going to lose sales. I'm going to lose. And there for a little bit, it seemed every customer that walked away, and I knew that customer was coming back, because I mean, there's customers that would get plumb mad, like I'm upset, because they were like, well, you gave my buddy this on a discount and stuff. What? Yeah. And I'm like, well, that was a mistake, Yeah. And I'm like, and first I would get almost frantic. I mean, I would almost freak out over that. But then what I started noticing at the end of the day, though, the stress level, I didn't have that, man, you told me 2 weeks, and it is a week and a half, and I haven't heard from them yet. I mean, that's the kind of calls, and we are trying to figure out what to do to get this customer happy, and it's just, and
what you did was you set the expectation so they felt like they could talk that way or say that way, because you were almost in the sense of maybe desperation or something at times to get the sale. You're like, oh no, I got to just hurry up and get this sale. And then once you found like your footing, though, it was totally different, because then you were confident in your price. You were confident to let them walk away and shop somewhere else if they felt like, that's what it was. But what I think is important is if you give them a reason to come back, you stand firm, and then you give them a reason to come back, and you let them, the customer, do their due diligence. One of the stories I remember a guy told me was like, he said, whenever the increase went up on lumber, you remember when we went through that, it hiked so quickly that like everybody was almost offering putting a surcharge on top of everything. So like if a 10 by 16, and I'm just going to use like just round numbers, not just for the simplicity of conversation here, but if a 10 by 16 at the time was say 5,000 and it went up to 6,500, something that he said was his salespeople would get discouraged at that. And he said, what I did was I flipped the script on that. I said, hey, look at this from two different situations. One, when the retail price of it increases, so does your pay, so does your commission. But two, the customer in most cases does not know or pay attention to the price of buildings as closely as you and your competitors do. Absolutely. So whenever you have an increase, they're probably going to have an increase over at their sales lot too.
That's right.
So you're still selling in the same ballpark. So all you have to do is your same attention to detail, your same customer service and customer care and aftercare that you take care of, because they're faced with the same problems you're faced with. And it's easy to start thinking, oh no, how am I going to sell versus my competition or something that a $1,500 increase. And in reality, you can focus more on that customer and almost sell less because of the price increase.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see a better commission
That's
from it.
actually,
Man, I think these are real conversations that happen at shed lots around the country. And a lot of times they just don't have people to talk to.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think there is some companies are addressing a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
And I think, but
Yep.
there's, this is another thing. Just learning that and realizing what we do is we are here to try to get that customer. I still want to get that customer those bang for the buck that I can possibly get him.
Yeah.
If I can, I still would not want to take advantage of my customers, but realizing that we're accountable to God, number one, that's the first thing.
That's right.
And so if I allowed this to get me so down that I can't remember who God is almost, that's
Yep.
it's not, I can't spread the good news. I can't, I became an unpleasant person to my family. I became an unpleasant person to the customers that walked in. I was just, there was days I would be like, I would show up at work. This was when I was by myself. I would come out here and I'd sit here and I'd think, oh man, I hope no customer, I just can't face a customer right now.
Yeah.
I can't face. And I'd be like, and that's when I started just saying, look, I gotta have her. I gotta have her here. And so she started just coming with me. But then of course, next thing was, but I started realizing what was happening. I became where I was almost unapproachable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Here you are. And I'll tell you what I think, and I'm far from anybody to offer anything professional, but just in my own experience, what I think is your desire to take care of the customer was so strong that the irony is that you became like the customer's worst nightmare, like because you weren't pleasant to be around and they're looking for help and a pleasant salesperson, and you're stressed because you want to help them so much that you can't get that message across to them. You're like, hey, listen, I'm actually this way because I care more than you realize, but I don't know how to convey that. I can't get that. I used to tell people that when I worked in like drug and alcohol recovery, I was like, man, like I want to see you like work on yourself so bad. The thing is, I can't work on it for you. You have to want it. And so for you, it's trying to bring that customer to, to the water, right?
Yeah.
To, I guess that's Joe's brother calling me, I think now.
Sure.
I'll have to get back to him. I'm not ignoring you. I promise you. I'm doing a podcast. But, I feel like I've suffered from the same things that you're talking about, but burnout's a real thing. And, I almost feel like that's what this episode's turned into. And I like it because I've been talking about wanting to do that for a long time, and maybe you're just the right person to talk to. But Martha, what do you see? Like, what was your thoughts on it whenever he's like dealing with this? And I'm sure you see, like all the things behind the scenes that you want the customer to see in him when he's trying to sell. What was your role in that as he was going through sort of that burnout process? Like what did you think was the best way to handle that?
I remember he got, it was it was bad.
Yeah.
But with what he said, not giving in to those grumpy customers made a difference in my workload, because like I take care of a lot of phone calls, so I would have customers calling, ticked off, mad, complaining about every little thing, and it was putting a lot of stress on both of us.
Yeah.
And when we started dealing with that, my stress went way down. Like I don't hardly have any phone calls anymore from like mad customers, just complaining about every little thing. But yeah, during that time, I just tried to step up, and I would go out and talk to the customers. And if there's, I don't know everything about the shed industry. I take care more of the paperwork part of the stuff, which I love doing. So if there was a question that I just absolutely did not have to answer for, then I'd ask him, things. Mm-hmm. And in that process, I actually learned more about how the sheds are built. So it was good for me, I'm able to answer a lot more questions than what I was used to be able to, whatever.
Yeah, you hit it
But-
perfectly.
But yeah, now I can tell a difference. He's way more confident in dealing with the customers. And I think it was a hard experience, but yeah, he's come a long ways, and I'm really proud of him.
We going to, I think it was the MBSRA this year that one of the speakers said, the obstacle is the way. So a lot of times, instead of looking at the difficulties we face and the stress, and like if you're in sales and you're like, oh no, this really has the tendency to play just wreak havoc on you emotionally, because you can do the same thing for one customer as you did for the next, and you can be like, man, what on earth? Like, I didn't even get considered. I didn't get the sale, and I don't understand. You can perform the same way for 2 weeks in a row and see 6 building sales and then no building sales. And you're like, oh no, what on earth? Like it doesn't make any sense to me, because I've put the same effort in. One of the books that I read, Little Red Book of Sales by Jeffrey Gitomer, talks about that. He talks about celebrating the effort and not the successes or the failures. And I'll tell you what, like that made such an impact on my life, like on how I handled things. We even took that same mentality into, I kind of felt like it was, like there was some biblical principle there to some extent as you read, because, God says not to worry, not to dwell on these things. And it's easier said than done, right? It's, but I remember, like, even as Deanna was transitioning through her chemo, and we would get good news and we would get bad news, and you can live or die on the emotion of the good and the bad news. Right? Like you're just, all things are perfect, all things are great, and then you get bad news and you're distraught.
Yeah.
Or you would get bad news and be distraught, and get a little good news and think, everything's going to be all right. So what we learned to do was just to go through it, pray through it. Like my pastor says, you don't go through it, you grow through it. Amen. Right? Yeah. I think that's the key, is like we were like, let's not be too emotional in celebrating good, or like giving away any power to anything bad or negative that came. And that became sort of the motto that we went through. And believe it or not, that came from sort of like that sales book, and like preparing myself mentally for sales training, because me too, man, I know what it's like to be emotional in the sales process. You're like, I've done all the right things. I care so much. I've tried so hard. I've done all of these things, but for some reason I didn't close that customer out, and I don't know why. And as well as I do, you want to ask every BBAC family customer, every BBAC guy and woman out there, like, why didn't you buy? It's a good product, and you believe it because you're selling it. This is a good product. Yeah. This is a good price. We're going to make sure and take care of you. We're going to get this delivered on time. Yeah. And like you said, when you start making concessions, they start making demands.
That's it. Yeah.
Managing your rent-to-own contracts just got easier with RTO Smart. Designed by leaders in the rent-to-own storage industry, RTO Smart was handcrafted to enable you with the tools needed to manage your own contracts your way without using a third-party rent-to-own company. RTO Smart is your one-stop shop, allowing you to generate contracts and manage customer accounts from start to finish while maintaining simplicity and flexibility. Call us today at 316-618-9396 or visit our website at rtosmart.com to schedule a live demo and discover why RTO Smart may be right for your business.
Did you start, Martha, helping out with the sales side a little bit more?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, if I would have to pick what I would do, it'd be all the paperwork, but I don't like talking a lot. So that's where I think we make a great team. He's a good talker. He loves to talk. Like, we've had times customers will come in here and he'll sit there and they'll talk for an hour. And that's one thing customers talk about. They just come in here. They can just sit he loves to talk.
Good relationship.
So he does good in that part, but he doesn't, I think he's good at paperwork, but he doesn't necessarily like it. Yeah. So I like doing paperwork, so I kind of take care of that part. So that's kind of what it. But I mean, there's times that it's busy where we'll have a bunch of customers. So, but I'm not the talking type.
Does she? I bet she does a lot better than she realizes, right?
She does. I don't. This thing. My problem, especially when it comes to when it comes to selling, she can at this point. Now, I mean, yeah, she's right. There was a point where she didn't really know how the building was built. She didn't, so the construction part of it, she had no idea how to, But at this point, she has a pretty good. Very few times that she has to ask me a lot about the construction of the building. So every now and then there's some, but she does really good in that. But one thing about me on paperwork is that there's stuff that's got to be filed, I will just procrastinate and procrastinate on that. I loathe it with so much passion. It's just, sitting down at a desk. I don't mind sitting down and reading, but I do not like to have to sit down and write whatever, and then
you're hands on, man. You're just, like ready to be out there.
I like to. That was the thing when I started selling. I was just like, I'm not a salesperson. There's just nothing about me. I'm like, I want to build. The only reason I got into this in the first place was because I was building a pole barn and I fell, messed my back up really bad. I had and to the point where I was almost paralyzed. For a while, I was actually on crutches. I couldn't. My legs were just pretty much numb. I was really close to paralyzed. And so my back was just in shreds. So I had to figure out something that I could do. And so I went through that, got me into sales and whatnot. And, but I always said I'm not a salesperson. It's next thing. As soon as I get strong, as soon as I can get back out there building, I'm going to be building. Well, somehow I'm sort of stuck now. I'm not sure.
Hey, man, I think you're probably right in where you need to be.
Like I believe that. I think God brought. I really see God's hand moving in all this, and it's just like it has brought us together. And this is the thing. So, and this is not here to expose us but I'm still probably making myself a little bit vulnerable here. But one thing, our relationship was not very good, and for probably the first at least 7-8 years of our marriage, we were just sort of coexisting, and this whole experience has brought us to where we are today. So
that's awesome, dude. Like that's one of the greatest testimonies like I've ever heard on the podcast.
Honestly, when I went through, especially the fall and everything, I was just like, man, I tried so hard to make myself. I remember dragging myself out to my truck one morning. I couldn't walk right, and I was still determined that I was going to go to work. I had
just a stubborn guy, aren't you?
You got that right.
I got to the truck, and I couldn't use my foot on the pedal. It wouldn't work. My foot wouldn't work, and so I realized I'm not going to build much today. And I went, back in and. I still remember the devastation of that moment, and actually be able to do what I'm doing now, and talking about fitness, got into what got me started into really trying to watch what I eat and watch the way I live and stuff. Had to do more with that than anything because I had to try to get my back to heal, and it brought me to a place where. We go running. We go, we have.
So you guys like work out together and all of that?
Yeah, we do CrossFit, and it's just we love it. I mean, we go every morning at 5:00. We're us and the kids. We're in the gym. Yeah. So, anyways, we that's sort of what got us into the fitness aspect of it, and I think, we need to take care. God talks about our body being the temple. He wants to dwell within us. If we physically don't take care of ourselves, what? Now I understand there's going to be stuff that can happen that you can't avoid. But when we're physically able to take care of ourselves, and I think we should. Yeah. And I'm not either bashing anybody that's not, but
no, I get it. Well, you'd be bashing me probably.
I wasn't thinking that.
Well, we're on the road. It's so hard, but I envy sort of what you're doing. and have been talking about a long time wanting to do that. I do believe healthy body, healthy mind, and vice versa. I believe that if you, and like Deanna's been fasting, we've been trying to slowly work towards that. And I'm of the same thought, man. Like those are things that you want to do because you want to be well rounded, you want to be well balanced in all areas of your life as best you can.
Yes.
And financially, physically, mentally, spiritually,
Absolutely.
all of those things emotionally. And I just feel like this was a great episode for me because I felt like we were talking about something that I've not only experienced to some extent, but it seems like several people have, but that just needed to have a conversation from a sales perspective about the emotions of sales and the up and down of sales.
It's a roller coaster, like it can be if we let it be. It's on a roller coaster ride. And honestly, though, taking control of yourself and your emotions and all that plays in. The getting up and working out a little bit. That helps me a lot.
Yeah,
clear my mind and get ready for the stress. And but just getting all that under control is. It's amazing.
Big difference. And I'm sure it's helped in all of your sales and everything. And it sounds like your marriage and family, the whole thing. So, man, hey, praise God for all of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely one thing that I've noticed is the way our kids, I'm definitely closer to kids. We have a so much deeper, sweeter relationship.
Yeah.
And with her, our relationship grew to this. And it's just all, it just when everything is right, when your relationships, when you're emotionally well in relationships, it is just amazing the confidence that alone gives you.
Yeah.
But to get to that point where we can have that healthy mind and where we are healthy with each other, it takes so much. Sometimes the physical needs to happen so that we can emotionally, it's all tied together. Like you said, it's a combination of balanced out.
That's right. Man, I love it. I love the whole conversation.
Yeah.
We've reached a point where I've just been doing something here lately where I turn the microphone around if you want. You don't have to take any questions. You don't have to offer any, but if you do have any, I'm an open book, transparent, whether it's about life, podcasting, the shed industry. If you have any questions, I think it generates good conversation. So do you have any questions for the Shed Geek? Anything that comes to mind for either of you?
I'm not even sure. Do you?
She's like, no, I've said enough. I want to get talk this much. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we got more out of her than what she was planning on. I love her insight. That's what I'm talking about. She has she doesn't talk a lot, but I've learned to. There's so many times when I just need to get her opinion on things because I think I have the answer usually, but it just.
That's your best friend. Like your best friend's going to give you the best advice. You know what I'm saying? They say family's your first ministry, right? So
Absolutely.
I mean, like you're supposed to, yeah, absolutely, man. You have to, me and my wife been married for, oh gosh, what year is this? See, it was easy. She made it easy. She married me in 2000 and this is 23.
Yes.
So we've been married 23 years.
Wow.
So I don't have to do all I got to do is get back to the zero and
go.
then go from there.
Wow.
But I have to ask her opinion on things because it's imperative to our futures.
Absolutely.
And most of the time you'll find that anything that you give to, in my opinion, to a woman, she takes it and makes it better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
If I give her some information, she gives me a a vision, for what could be. And I'm like, wow, that's really good. Well, we're stubborn guys who like to have all the answers.
Yeah. And it doesn't always work. Yeah. Now she has really, she has a lot of wisdom in that she doesn't even, that so many times I'm like asking her, she's like, well, just do your thing. I'm going to be good. I'm like, that's not the point.
You know why, man? Me and you are not just guys, but we're talkers.
Yeah.
And you know what makes it good is she listens way better probably than we do. And that right there changes everything for me.
It does.
When I start listening more. And that's why they have so much advice, is because they're just like, they're still
Absorbing.
and they're quiet and they absorb and they listen and they form a good opinion through peace and calmness. And I'm like, that's really good. You know, to my wife, I'll tell her that all the time. That's really good. I was like, how'd I miss the obvious? And sometimes we do. I'll tell you what, guys, if you have no questions, man, I loved this. I didn't know what to expect. And I know me and you've known each other for a long time, but still yet it just finally worked out where we could get on here and didn't know what to expect, but we're going to say a prayer and get out of here if that's okay.
Yeah,
so appreciate you guys being on the show. Absolutely. Like, you guys are awesome together. I can see that. Like y'all's marriage must be just awesome, because I can tell just being around you. So let's say a prayer.
Yes.
Lord, thank you for this day, the opportunity to just be here with friends and talk and discuss and be about your business, but use our knowledge and desire to be in this industry to just create conversation that hopefully helps others and those who listen today. Lord, be with anybody today that would be suffering from burnout, the emotional roller coasters of sales or business or whatever it is that they're facing today. Just kind of be with them, give them the strength, the guidance, the knowledge, the path forward to take one step after the other, just to begin to find peace. And we know we find that in you. And we'd ask to keep you, that they'd keep you first in all that they do, that you would provide the tools and the people and in their life to help get them to where they need to be and see things for what they are. Thank you for Joseph and Martha here today. I ask that you'd bless their business, continue to give them just a vision for what they should do and when they should do it, and know that we're celebrating today for all that you've already done. And we thank you. Ask that you just kind of watch over the industry and keep us accountable to your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.